Hey guys, just a quick update today. So I was reading through some tech news from a couple of weeks ago, and saw an article, and it was talking about, and I'll link the article down below. It's on Forbes. It's talking about OpenAI offering consulting services to large enterprises at $10 million USD. So I thought this was fascinating because, the models, the OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, DeepSeek, Quen, if anyone's up to speed with this stuff, the models are really a commodity now. And there's a bit of an arms race for, adding additional features and, cool things to it. But what's really been left behind was the actual infrastructure and implementation of these models in just regular businesses. So you're probably thinking so what is the significance of this? So in my view, the significance of this is that the AI consulting space will become extremely valuable. If companies, smaller companies, SMEs are seeing large enterprises throwing $10 million USD at implementation of AI in their businesses, it's really going to have like a downstream effect. There's going to be smaller SMEs, smaller businesses that are going to go sort of like, well, if they're doing it, we should be doing that too. And the package that OpenAI are offering is enterprise-grade GPT-4o deployments. So they're going to have, tech engineers on site. They're going to be available. They're going to be able to, integrate it with their data. They're going to link these AI into all the company infrastructure. If you start to think about what that means for large enterprise like insurance company, logistics, all of these kind of medical, all of these kind of huge use cases, the thing is they don't want, a lot of these businesses just want the solution. They don't want to bring in all the tech guys. They don't want to have extra engineers and trying to work it out. It's very complicated. So if you've got OpenAI that are coming in and going, well, we'll set it all up for you. We'll stick around for when, you need to press the big red button and something goes wrong. Because a lot of the outputs from AI are still just, they're not really quite reliable yet. There's a variation on these outputs for these tasks. So it's not like your traditional computing where you can input one and get out two. It's like you could input what you think is one, but you could have it worded differently in the prompt and it will output something which is 3 or 4 instead of 2. So this and this is, very much in line with sort of like humans in a lot of sense. You might get one response one day and another response the other day. So it's a complicated thing to handle. But I think, like I was saying, it was a really interesting article to me because I think that the AI infrastructure and AI consulting and actually building out solutions using AI in smaller managed businesses could really, really take off. Like I said, you're going to have demand there that wasn't there. And there's a lot of companies that aren't going to be able to pay $10 million USD for this consulting service from the top level. And it also has, if there are large companies that are doing, enterprise companies that are doing this, then it really validates that whole market. So if you're someone who's really good at AI, or even someone that's, pretty good at AI, there's definitely downstream opportunities for small managed businesses. And you can kind of point at the top and go, well, these guys are doing it. They're investing $10 million USD into the actual implementation and execution and deployment of these models in the business. So the justification and the validation is there. If they're doing it, there's a reason they're doing it. This was a business concept that I've had for a little while, because obviously my background is in short-term property management, and I've kind of been mulling around the ideas of what do I work on next. And this was one that I'd thought about offering AI solutions and automations, because this is what I did in our property management company. Essentially, took processes, business processes, SOPs, etc., and converted them into full AI automations, either with, using things like Zapier, N8N, using custom code solutions, using Pipedream, all of these different things. So very, very familiar with it. And I think for people that are at an intermediate level and wanting to start like a side hustle or something, like this is perfect. And you can even get to a point where, a lot of consulting is just really deeply understanding the issue at hand and providing the outcome they need. Now, it doesn't matter if it's super complicated or super technical, or it doesn't even matter if it uses AI, realistically. If you don't need to use it, then don't. But if you use AI tools to get you to the automation stage that you need to get to, because, consulting can be you kind of like selling your time. So, if you're using these AI tools on the back end, like Claude has an MCP server for N8N, it has an MCP server for Zapier. If you can consult with someone, get their business requirements, the business logic, break it down into specific steps, and offer a solution that solves their problem, they're not going to count how many hours you've spent. They're just going to pay on the solution. So I think we're opening up a really huge area in the market. It's already large, but I think it's about to be a bit of a tidal wave of consulting and implementation. I was reading another article on X, and I forget who it was by, but they were interviewing a researcher or an AI specialist in China. And China's approach to AI is completely different to the US. The US is in a bit of an arms race of give me the next best model, let's create the next best, feature or function. So, whether it's MCP servers or a bigger model or GPT-5 or agent or, operator or whatever you want to call these things. They're just like, what is the next best thing? And they're looking at like, what are we introducing? China's taking a very different approach. China's taking an approach of infrastructure. So China are integrating, their models at a base level across many industries. So things like manufacturing, logistics, it could even be like insurance or power and gas or things like this. They're implementing these infrastructure improvements across the whole bottom line. And they're executing, they're integrating AI into those parts there. And this is really clever, and it's very different to the US. Like, the US would be arguing for the next, and the same with other countries, they would be arguing for the next 24 months about whether they should implement technologies like this into the power grid or into this space, and rightly so. But China have this, obviously a different setup politically, and they just go ahead and push it out. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but as a boost of overall efficiency, if you've got AI implemented at sort of the base level of power management and, big data and all this sort of stuff, essentially once you've got that integrated at that baseline of these businesses, you can come through and just do like an OS upgrade, as this new model comes out. Oh, the US just released a new model. Or we'll take all that research and development and we'll just do an OS update overnight, and boom, like all of this infrastructure we've put in at the bottom line with a base model that wasn't very functional. Now we've got this huge upgrade, and I think like we're really going to see like China really take off ahead with a lot of these things. And they're doing it with power. They're already, there's some figures that are coming out that, they're increasing the amount of power that they're producing, and batteries, and the cars that are coming out of China are cheaper, and, electric cars. So, yeah, I just thought it was really interesting. So the two things that I thought were really interesting were the $10 million for execution, implementation, integration for enterprise level AI. I thought that was like mind blowing. So that's about $15 million Australian per project for execution, $10 million USD. And then also the infrastructure that they're putting in China. So like the integration and the execution that they're putting in China for integrating AI into that space. So if you've got any thoughts on this stuff, comment down below. I would be super interested to hear what your thoughts are around it, what markets you think it's going to affect. If you haven't, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.